Sophia. Well, we're having a good time. For about 3 hours, we were having a wonderful conversation. It was time for the bar to close, and the couple asked me to go to their house with them so we can continue our conversation. And I said yes, because I was a little tipsy already. And honestly, I just wanted to keep the party going. Mind you, I'm a man. We got to the couple's house, and they start acting very sexual in front of me. They're kissing, hugging, he's kissing her neck. I wasn't really paying attention, I was just drunk and I wanted to continue the party. 10 minutes go by and the guy offers me a glass of whiskey. And of course I take it. 5 minutes after that, he asked me to go to the bedroom. I was hesitating it because I didn't know for what. And honestly, I didn't know this couple, but I ended up saying, this is how a couple wanted me to do the dirty with a wife while the husband watched. Part 2. Disclaimer, this is not my story. So they invited me to their bedroom and I ended up saying yes. As soon as I step in the bedroom, I see this whole setup like 50 Shades of Grey type of shit. And there was also a chair facing right towards the bed. Well, the husband asked me if I ever had a three-way, and I said absolutely not, but that I was very interested. Well, he said that they're not really interested in having a three-way, but that he just wanted to watch me do the dirty with his wife, because that really turned him on. Long story short, I was very, very drunk. I ended up doing it. I didn't sleep over their house because I thought that was very awkward. Ironic, right? But next day, I was so disgusted with myself and that man. Worst part of all of this is that I also got an STD. Follow me and DM me. I fell in love with my dad's best friend. And here's the story. My dad is a very well-known businessman, at least in the state that we live in. For personal reasons, I will not be saying which one it is. Well, he's very successful and he has very, very successful friends. For some reason, I've always been attracted to older men. No, I don't have daddy issues. Mom and dad are still together. Well, every month we would have a little business dinner at our house where multiple of his friends would come over and we'd just have a good time. That's where I met, let's call him Philip. I'm 19, by the way. Well, in these dinners, you have to be very, very friendly. Or at least that's what our dad tells us to do. I also have an older brother. Well, Philip would come every month, and we would have a really, really deep conversation. It wasn't in a weird way. I was just trying to be friendly. Well, in December, before Christmas, my parents decided to do this really, really big dinner. They went all out. I'm running out of time. Follow me for part 2. Also follow me on my Instagram for a giveaway. I fell in love with my dad's best friend. Part 2. Well, all the guests arrived. I was dressed up really, really nice, waiting for Philip. He arrived a little later, but that was fine. Well, later that night, he decided to tell me that he was in love with me, that all these deep conversations that we've been having, he's never had that connection with anyone, and I said same. Well, we ended up doing the dirty in my parents' bathroom. 2 months after that, we decided to tell my dad. He wasn't really happy about it, but he would always do anything to make me happy. Philip and I have been dating for a while now, and business between him and my dad has never been better. Okay, so a lot of people ask me the same question, and it's what I use on my face. But I don't know if it's approved by Hiram. So please tag him and see if he reacts to this. But before anything, I'm going to show you what my face looked like before. This is what my face and my chest look like. Here I have another picture. And here is how it looks now without makeup. No makeup. The first thing I use when I do have makeup on. So remove your makeup. Now, before we move on, I just want to say I am not a dermatologist. This is just what I use. And been doing this for 3 years. Cleanser. Washed my face with really cold water. Moisturizer. Vitamin C face oil. And I sleep on a satin pillowcase. Storytime on how I found my daughter without even looking for her. When I was 15, I got pregnant by who I thought was the love of my life. But as soon as he found out that I was pregnant, he said he didn't want anything to do about it and that if I wanted, I could get an abortion. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about it. I decided to tell my mom. I was scared at first, but then I remembered my mom and I have a really, really good relationship. And she told me I had 3 options. I could have the baby, I could have an abortion, or I could have the baby and give it up for adoption. I decided to have the baby, which later on I found out it was a girl, and then give her up for adoption because I wasn't going to be able to give her the life that she deserved. And I said that maybe in the future I would look for her, explain to her what happened, and tell her that I could be a part of her life if she wanted me to. Well, in 2015, I was able to open my own little coffee shop where I hired 3 employees. By that time, I was married and had 2 wonderful toddlers. Well, from the 3 employees that I hired, one of them was my daughter, but I didn't know it at the time. Running out of time, follow me for part 2. I found my daughter that I gave up for adoption without even looking for her. Well, since it was a small business with only 3 employees and me, I had a close relationship with employees. But I had a close relationship with, let's call her, Julia. The reason why we had such a close relationship was because she did share with me that she was adopted. And obviously I shared with her that I did give up a baby for adoption. And she never judged me. She always told me that she would do anything to find her biological mother. This girl was raised right. Well, I shared with her all the details on why I gave my baby up for adoption and that I would love to meet that baby one day. Well, behind my back, she decided to investigate. I don't know how, don't ask me. 3 months later, she came in with some paperwork, told me that she was my daughter, with tears in her eyes. And well, I obviously busted out crying as well. I asked her to forgive me and I told her why it all happened. She told me those weren't sad tears, they were tears of joy. Said she never hated me and now we're in each other's lives. How crazy. Storytime on how my high school bully became my stepdaughter. A little backstory, let's call my bully Stephanie. Well, Stephanie loved to bully me in high school. There wasn't a reason other than she just did not like me. And I was very, very innocent, so I let her bully me. She even made up a rumor that I had an STD. That's how bad it was. Well, after high school, I decided to go to college for a year, but then I dropped out. I started working at a law firm where I met my soon-to-be husband. And of course I didn't know it was her dad. I was working at the law firm only part-time, so I didn't spend much time with him, but we did fall in love really, really quick. We went out on dates first, and he did tell me he had a daughter, but he never showed me a picture of his daughter because he said he didn't have a good relationship with her. Well, for his birthday, we went out to dinner, and he did tell me that his daughter was going to be there. So I wanted to make a good first impression. Follow me for part 2. My high school bully became my stepdaughter. Well, we arrived at the restaurant and she still wasn't there. We knew that she was going to come in a little later. Well, about 30 minutes later, I see Stephanie walking towards me. And I was so confused. I thought she was going to come and say hi to me. And when she saw me next to her father, shit went down. We were at a very fancy restaurant. Well, she asked her father, let's call him Ben, what is she doing here? And he told her to not disrespect me like that because I was his fiance. Mind you, I was laughing because this shit was hilarious. Well, before she stormed out of the restaurant, she told her dad to never talk to her again and said that she would never forgive him. Well, long story short, he did ask me why she said that because he was a little curious of why I was laughing. I explained to him that she was my bully in high school and that she terrorized me for 4 years. And our wedding is in July. Okay, story time and disclaimer, this is not my story. I'm reading it right off my email. This is a crazy one, guys. Story time. I'm sexually attracted to my sister. I'm gonna just read it raw for you guys. Okay, I'm sexually attracted to my sister and I don't know what to do. Let me just say, yes, we have the same mom and dad. She's older than me by 4 years. I started feeling this way after my dad left. So apparently her parents are divorced. I went through a lot because of my parents' divorce, and she, let's call her Olivia, was there for me every step of the way. A very long recovery. Let me explain. She slept in the same bed as me. She would feed me. Again, I was badly depressed. Well, she would cook for me and even had to bathe me once because I went a whole week without even changing my pajamas. Understandable when you're depressed. I'm running out of time. Follow me for part 2 because this story time is crazy. Again, this is not my story. I'm sexually attracted to my sister, part 2. This is not my story. This is a raw story time. I'm reading it right off my email. This part is just going to be really short. Okay, so the last part was I went a whole week without even changing my pajamas. Understandable because you're depressed. That's when it started. I feel the need to tell her, but I know it will ruin our relationship. Girl, this is very wrong, but my desire is very strong. I mean, that rhymed, girl. That rhymed, but sweetie, what are you doing? What are you doing, sister? Okay, what do you guys think? Like, I don't even know. I'm a loss for words. Story time on how I was raised in a cult, and I didn't know anything about it. Crazy as it sounds, yes, I left 2 years ago. And honestly, I'm still scared for my life. For personal reasons, I will not be saying what religion she grew up in. A little backstory, I'm the oldest of 3 children. I have a younger sister and a younger brother. Well, let me just tell you, I even had to ask my dad when I could go pee. Because if I didn't, I would be disobeying him, and I would be going to hell. Well, we lived in a small town, and my brother, my sister, and I were homeschooled by my mother. Now, my father wasn't the leader of this cult, but he was one of the very, very strong believers. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup, wasn't allowed to wear jeans, or any type of pants. Now, this wasn't part of the cult, but I wasn't even allowed to talk to girls. I had to keep to myself. Go to part 2. I was only allowed to talk to my siblings, my mom, and my dad. Well, what I didn't realize until I hit 16 was that my parents were teaching me to be a good wife. Because at that age, my dad would pick a husband for me. At 16. Now, that's when it hit me, and I said I need to escape from this. Now, I knew that was going to be very hard, but that just wasn't the life for me. And it's really sad that I didn't realize sooner. Well, one night my dad was going to a meeting, and that's the night that I decided to escape. Sadly, I couldn't take my brother or my sister. I ran away and never looked back. I got to my nearest gas station, told them if they could call 911. I explained to them what I was living. Long story short, I was sent to a women's shelter, and I've been living here for the past 2 years, hoping that my dad never finds me.